Uffsides NFL show. I'm Matt Ufford. This is Drew Magary joining me today. How's it going, sir?
Finally, a little bit of sex appeal in this studio.
I know. You know Drew from his Deadspin columns. He's a GQ correspondent.
Yes.
You probably follow on Twitter already. You might also, if you're an internet OG, know him from Kissing Susie Colbert, where we started that blog together.
We were the founders.
Yeah, co-founders.
We were the founders. That almost sounds like we wrote it on parchment.
It was before the internet.
Like with a feather quill. That's great hustle.
In the days before Twitter. Your new book is called Someone Could Get Hurt.
That's right. Just imagine the graphic of the cover. There's like a little seesaw and stuff. It's great. I don't have the art with me, but I'm just visualizing the art.
I was going to bring a book, and I was like, no, Drew's on a press junket. Surely he has a copy of his own book to show.
Stupid. We can do this in post, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, we can do it in post.
We'll just post it.
We'll have a picture of it a little bit later on.
We'll fix it.
A little bit of a plug. I read the book.
Let's plug it.
I laughed out loud.
Thank you, sir.
I enjoyed it very much. I do not have children yet.
No.
Someday.
And now you won't.
But I still found it engaging and funny.
You have a bottle of Pappy that you keep in a pram and you push it around Brooklyn.
I do.
And if anyone gets too close, get off my baby!
It's now empty, unfortunately.
Ooh.
Let me ask you this: you've been going around the country.
I have.
Where you've been in Chicago,
Barnstorming.
Austin.
Yeah, that's
Many
pretty
places.
much around the country.
Yeah.
That's it.
Those are the other two cities in the country.
Hello, Cleveland.
Is it nice? You grew up. I'm sure people were mispronouncing your last name all your life.
Yep.
You are Magary.
Magary. But they had a. I mean, isn't it amazing when people like? Not only do they mispronounce your name, but they just add consonants in there.
It. And I grew up like the first time, and I moved every 3 years, and so I'd be in a new school, and they'd be like, Uford,
Ufgerd, Ufgerdovich.
And
what?
Is it nice for people finally know how to say your name correctly?
No, nobody knows how to say it.
Really?
Every effing day, I get the tweet saying, "Hey, our friends were wondering how you pronounce your last name. It's Magary, right?"
Yeah. I originally thought that was it, but as soon as I figured out that it was like kind of a version of an Irish name.
Yeah,
like it should have been a C.
It should be a C.
When your ancestors came to America, it was the guy's first day at the Statue of Liberty, and he was like, "Oh, Magary." That's clearly how it's spelled.
They got all smudged
I've
out.
never met an Irishman before, so it's clearly how it's spelled.
I wish it were a C, because then I could lie to people and say I was related to Mitch Magary. He was my kid or something.
No such luck.
No such luck.
So I'm going to keep things relevant to your book for a time.
Yeah. Stay on message.
Yeah, you're raising 3 children. What are you doing to make them responsible, non-douchey sports fans?
You know what? I think the whole thing is that you can't. I don't like it when people push their fandom on the kid, when it's like, okay, you have to be a fan of my team. Right?
Every single Pittsburgh Steelers fan I know who's had a child puts their child in a Steelers onesie.
You know what? I think that's okay. I have Vikings onesie for my kid.
Okay.
All right. I guess that's douchey, but it's really cute. Oh my God! Like, you
Look at this tiny, adorable football fan.
Little me, yay! But my daughter, she liked the Vikings for a while, and now she's like, no, I like the Redskins.
Yeah, I grew up all over, but 1st through 4th grade for me was in Washington D.C. And it was during like Super Bowl 22 with the Doug Williams, Timmy Smith blew out the Broncos.
And you're not a Skins fan.
I broke free.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, but during that time, I was very much like, there's always Seahawks first, but they were never on TV. And then, like, you're surrounded by all these little Redskins fans.
I gotcha.
And I was into the Redskins for that little snapshot of history.
Well, you snapped out of that real quick.
I broke free. We only lived there 3 years, so I was able to get out and break free from that before it was formative.
But if my kid wants to root for the local municipality, it's fine. Because if I tried to force Vikings fandom on them too much, they'd be like, well, I like the Packers because screw you, old man.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And frankly, like, your kids, they're not going to have a favorite team. Their favorite team's going to be Red Zone Channel.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
You think so?
I've met kids. I'm like, what's your favorite team? They're like, Red Zone Channel. Like, that's literally what they say.
They've got the Red Zone jersey?
Well, they don't care. They don't care. And frankly, why should they?
Fair.
I mean, if they want to just root for the NFL, that's fine. That's how the NFL has made their money anyway.
Yeah.
Sure, it's music to Goodell's ears.
Fantasy football.
Yeah, to be like, whoa, they're fans of every team.
If you go to the NFL headquarters, and I have, and you talk to like the guys who are like, you know, their first or second year there, like ask any person at
They
NFL
protect
headquarters,
the shield.
What's your team? I like all NFL teams equally.
Do
like,
they
like
say
they all
that?
like I just love the league and like
That's so gross.
and like I pulled one guy aside and I knew that he'd read like KSK like before joining the NFL and I was
Right.
like, who's your real team? He's like, well, before I worked here, I was a Giants fan.
Yeah.
It's just like you have to be the shield.
Oh, that's so gross.
Yeah.
They're horrible people.
Let's talk a bit about your favorite team. The
Yes,
Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings.
Unless you have other thoughts on raising sports fans, how do you? Because like I feel like kids are just like who's awesome. My wife is a fourth grade teacher.
Yes.
And these kids are Jewish kids growing up on the Upper West Side, and they all wear LeBron James jerseys.
Do they? That's awful.
Yeah, horrible.
I was
mean,
on-
and they're Yankees fans or Manchester United. They just like teams that win.
I was on this Kid Rock cruise, and the GQ article gets published this week, and I saw a kid on the cruise, and the kid had, I swear to God this is true, had the Heat jersey, Lakers hat. A Heat jersey and a Lakers
It's one
hat.
thing to be like Heat jersey Yankees cap because then it's like I'm just a front running douche across the board. But then
And you know that little
man.
POS, you know he wasn't from Miami or LA, right?
No.
So just some
Not if he's on a Kid Rock cruise.
Just some awful kid from Michigan just rocking two total douchebag fan bases at once. Isn't that awful? Imagine someone with a Steelers jersey and a Cowboys hat.
Oh,
Like you'd push him off of a cliff, right?
no, that's the right thing to do.
So the sporting thing with the kids, I mean, honestly, like the only thing I want is that they can tolerate sports enough so that I can watch it in their presence. I don't care whether they like it, right? All I care about is my sports fandom. Their sports fandom is utterly irrelevant to me.
Yeah.
Like it's nice to go to sporting events with them and like share in the moment and all that sappy crap. But
Yeah.
honestly, I just want to watch the game. I don't care about any of that.
You don't want to answer questions about like explaining downs.
No, it's not a freaking metaphor for life when I'm watching it with them. You know? I can get all my parental fulfillment by other means.
Monday through Saturday.
Yeah. All right, we talked about the Vikes. Let's talk about the Vikes.
Yeah. So you're a Vikes fan. I'm a Seahawks fan. This is like the only two teams that I feel like have a front office rivalry.
Yeah.
Starting.
Hey, you stole our players, you bastard.
Yeah. Well, now I mean, this is all. I feel.
You took Harvin. You took Winfield. You took everything.
Well, this all dates back to Steve Hutchinson and the Poison Pill.
I know.
Of course, the
Payback's a bitch.
the front office has turned over completely. I think it's more just a fact of Seahawks GM John Schneider knows the NFC North.
Sure, and I'm sure there was a little placard whenever the new guy took over that said, "P.S. We hate the Vikings."
Yeah. So it's actually Hutchinson, the Poison Pill, and that started with like the Seahawks were like, we're gonna get Nate Burleson.
Yeah,
It's like, really got you
immortal
guys
Nate
back.
Burleson.
Offensive coordinator Daryl Bevel
Yes.
came over from the Vikings.
Isn't it amazing how a good player can make your offensive coordinator look pretty good?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're sort of like, you know what? Like, especially like, okay, like the Skins, like last 2 seasons ago with Beck and Grossman, Kyle Shanahan was the dumbest offensive coordinator in the league.
Oh, moron.
Right? RG3 comes, he's brilliant.
He's a genius.
It just shows you how sort of overrated play callers are, right? Because everyone wants to think they can do play calling, right? They're like, well, I could call plays better than him. I don't agree with that draw play there. And so obviously, if you have a great player, it doesn't even matter.
Kind of, yeah.
Right?
Or at least a great system.
Yeah, or a great system or a great player who like will just audible to the right play anyway.
Yeah. But then there was, of course, Tarvaris Jackson to the Hawks, which was a net gain for the Vikings, I believe.
Yes, that's right. And now he's a Bill, right?
Now he's a Bill.
Now he's a Bill, and Jim Kelly
Fighting
has
for his
cancer,
job.
so that's
Downer.
a real good life for Buffalo, right?
Yeah, the Seahawks wide receiving core is now Percy Harvin and Sidney Rice, former Vikings.
Yes.
Just added Antoine Winfield, your cornerback
Cornerback
to the mix,
You know he's a corner.
replacing Marcus Trufant.
The best tackling
Long
cornerback
time.
in football.
Yeah.
Every analyst, they love Antoine Winfield. They're like, oh, look at him tackle. He's such a sure tackler. The tacklers are always sure.
Well, he's going to be working the slot, it looks like.
They all want him to be a Hall of Famer, but I don't know.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen.
No. Let's talk about the draft. The Vikes. Everyone gave the Vikes A's. It seemed like they had a good draft.
It takes except for Barnwell. Barnwell was like, that was a stupid trade. The Patriots fleeced him. Like, so typical Grantland. The Patriots were brilliant and outsmarted the Vikings at every turn.
Patriots outsmart everybody.
Of course.
So annoying.
I think it was a great draft because obviously they resisted the Te'o thing. They didn't draft. Geno.
No.
And I think people were a little bit like, maybe they'll draft Geno. And then, of course, they didn't draft Geno.
I think it's good you got the first pick, the first of your 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, Mr. Floyd.
Sharif Floyd.
Out
of Florida.
And Mr. Xavier Rhodes.
Xavier Rhodes out of FSU.
To replace Winfield. And then
Cordero Patterson.
I think that's the wild card. I think that's the move where people were like, well, if they gave up too much, but then they needed a wide out, and he's very fast. But then, how many catches did he have last year?
I don't know.
I'm always alarmed by college receivers who like are really fast, but like they have like 4 receptions their senior year.
Yeah, he's fast but unproven. Yeah. He's supposed to be like kind of unpolished. He has to learn how to run routes.
Just learn how to catch.
Yeah.
That's the Troy Williamson thing, where like he can get separation like anywhere, but he can't catch the stupid football. So he's utterly worthless.
Stumps to work with.
Just utterly worthless.
Cordero Patterson, best dressed at the draft though.
Yes.
Looked fantastic.
And a great name.
Like a white tuxedo jacket with like Louis Vuitton suspenders.
All class. It's
yeah.
Pure class.
Looking good, dude. Also drafted a punter in the 5th round.
Drafted a punter and destroyed Chris Cluey.
Chris Cluey, kind of sad. Have you talked to him? You've met him before?
Yes, I had met him before, and I traded emails with him after he was released, and I think that I think his belief was that his outspokenness played into his release. And I think,
really?
Yes, but I think that's a story that he'll tell at some point. Whenever he's done with football and doesn't want to be in fear of losing a job, I'm sure he'll tell that story. But I think that he believes that it was not just football reasons. Even though I think that you could say it was football reasons and be fair about it, because I think he had a couple of bad punts last year.
He didn't have the best season last year.
He didn't. I think he is still, for a punter, I think he's still above the average of most NFL punters,
sure.
And that's why he got a job right away.
Yeah,
and he'll get it. He'll keep a job. I imagine he'll stay employed by the NFL for 5-10 more years.
He's what, 30?
Something like that.
Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like a running back where at like 30 his legs decay, man. Like,
no, you become Sean Landetti. You stick around forever. Like, it's amazing how valuable reliable punters are. Like, if you're reliable, you're like one of like 10 human beings on the planet
that can kick it a certain way.
And everyone thinks they can punt like that, and they can't.
I'm surprised that the NFL doesn't have more Aussie rules guys come to the NFL.
Like Darren Bennett, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't translate as well.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they don't. Maybe it pays more to be in Australia.
It probably does. It probably pays more. They're probably like, I'm not playing that CC sport.
That's such an American thing for me. Like, I don't understand why they just don't leave their home country and come and take less money to play in the NFL for the prestige.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Australia has the hottest women in the universe, and like everyone's really nice, and you work 4 hours a week.
Aussie rules is fun to watch. Have you ever
is.
And I love it because like it's the only sport where they're just like, we don't need slaves.
No CTE guilt in Aussie rules football.
I haven't watched enough. I'd like to watch more. That's something like ESPN instead of like giving us Aussie rules. Like,
yeah, that and like Seven Nations rugby or Rugby 7 stuff like that. I would watch all that.
I was thinking about
5 Nations rugby. I
made a video for it last week. We're talking about like I like the spelling bee on TV just because any televised competition is automatically better than like Stephen A. Smith or whoever yelling at me through the TV.
Well, that's riveting in its own way, because they're kids and you remember being a kid and being that awkward and all that stuff. Plus, the words are just insane.
It's ridiculous.
I don't know. By the way, I don't know how they haven't run out of words yet. Like they must have duplicated a few, right?
It's not even English words anymore. They're like, well, that's a German word.
Yeah, I don't. It's very weird because. I mean, I appreciate the fact that there are so many words in English, but they're all on the disabled list. They don't get used,
They're all dusty. And I was saying, I was like, hey, people who make dictionaries, let's go ahead and make some cuts.
Yeah. They don't. They never take anything out.
No English speaker has actually used this word in 4 decades.
Well, like in Scrabble, one of the reliable Scrabble words is AE.
Yeah.
Which means one. No, but nobody's ever going to put, I had AE. Ay.
Where the A and E are fused.
Yeah.
Like it's the 1800s.
Oh, like Damon. No.
Yeah, no. But let's talk about the Vikings quarterback situation. Getting back to the Vikings.
Mr. Ponder.
Mr. Ponder.
I saw his wife at the spelling bee in person.
Sam.
Very tan.
Really?
Extremely tan woman.
You have to be very careful about what you say about Sam Ponder because Andy Wall of the Longhorn Network will go after you.
Does he love her?
Andrea.
Oh, she loves her.
Yeah.
Like.
No.
Like her.
No. Andy Wall is engaged to a man.
Okay.
She's a charming human
She's just
being.
a friend of Sam Ponder?
She's a producer at the Longhorn Network where Sam Ponder got her start.
I see. I got it.
Yeah.
Well, I got bad news because Sam Ponder was a bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't even talk to her. I have no idea.
No, but you've got it's not guaranteed that Christian Ponder is going to be starting. They've brought in.
Because they brought Castle?
Yeah,
No.
Matt Castle.
Ponder's the starter.
Really?
Yes, that's guaranteed.
You sure?
Yeah, they're all in. They're all in with him. If
sorry.
they weren't, they wouldn't. They would have drafted somebody, or they would have brought in someone more imposing than Castle to challenge him. Castle's the bad guy.
How do you feel about that?
You know, he's an odd quarterback in that
He's not very good.
he's not very good at times, and at other times he actually looks quite competent. But the problem is that inconsistency is sort of that. It's that Mark Sanchez sort of thing. You know, where when he has those nice games, you're not completely convinced that he had a nice game because he was good. It was just luck of the draw.
Adrian Peterson also ran for 180 yards.
Yeah. So he had some really great game. Like he had a great game against the Packers in Week 17, and he had a great couple games at the beginning of the season, and then there was a stretch in the middle of the season where he just played miserable football. So I don't know, and I'm concerned because the Vikings front office has assembled this rather remarkable roster. Like outside of the quarterback, I think it's a pretty good roster, but they put all their eggs into the Ponder basket, and you know they've done him for the past year, and they're going all in on this year. I think he'll start all 16 games unless he gets hurt. And I don't know if he's going to be enough to carry that roster before it turns over eventually.
I mean, it was a 10-16 with him at quarterback.
It was a 10-16, and it's arguably as talented or more talented this year.
I feel like they got better in the draft in the offseason.
They got better in the draft, and a lot of the younger players that they had, like Harrison Smith and Kyle Rudolph, will get better. So I don't know. But then they lost Harvin, so I don't know.
It's it's problematic.
It's weird because they went on their playoff tear without Harvin, even though Harvin at the beginning of the season was their most valuable player. So I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Why isn't it football season already?
Yeah, I know.
I'm ready. I just got my my first of the Yahoo invites to my fantasy football league, and I just clicked on it right away. I was like, yes.
And then
I'm
you
just
see
gonna
that
sit here and wait.
And then you see the rankings, and it's a little imposing. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I got to remember who is with who and what happened to this and all that.
I spend way too much time poring over like my top 150 players to draft.
I was like in August, it's always like a smack in the face to have that refresher. Like, oh, LeGarrette Blount is a Patriot now. Okay, all right, what?
Yeah, and then it's like I should have been following every beat reporter from all 32 teams. Then I'd know who to draft.
And like I'm at the point in life now where I can't. Like I used to put together my own rankings. Like I had an Excel spreadsheet. I listed them. I was like, well, you know, Santonio Holmes should be 38th instead of 39th, and like very serious about.
Now you're just like shooting from the hip.
Now I just look at Yahoo's things and I pick the player I hate the least.
Oh, that guy's too high. I'm not going to take him.
Yeah.
Well,
they do. They always have one older player who's like way up. Like, you know, they'll have like Steve Smith is like the number 2 wideout. And every year I always draft the wrong Steve Smith. So like I would draft Steve Smith like when you have a shitty year. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear.
Oh, that's all right.
Or I would draft Steve Smith when he had or I wouldn't draft him when he had a great year.
I recall the league that we're in together. You drafted like C. Johnson overall at number 8, and we were like,
oh yeah,
we were like, oh, Calvin Johnson, good pick. No, you picked Chris Johnson.
Yeah, I know.
And none of us could believe that you went
I know.
for it.
Everybody thought I was an idiot for that.
But
then I drafted RG3 in the 5th round.
There you go.
Nobody can question me. And then RG3 got ruined right before fantasy playoffs.
Of course.
Right when I needed him. Bastard.
We're going to move on to segments. Our segments.
Segments.
We have real segments.
Ooh, all right.
This is a professional operation. This is the troll bag. We open
the troll bag.
Open it up with questions from readers. These are actual people, or at least lifelike bots on Twitter.
Are these strong takes?
This is Jesse Pound. He says, quite simply, does Christian Ponder suck? We've actually just addressed that.
I don't know if that's too trolly.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's not trolling.
No. This is Jesse. Sorry, we answered. I didn't mean to step on your
Jesse, you're no
question.
troll.
No.
Get troll lessons.
Let's go on to Mark Bolden. He says, "What currently average team will be the next NFL dynasty?"
What currently average team will be the next
Yeah.
NFL dynasty? Well, the Jets. No, I'm just kidding. Not the Jets. But there's no such thing anymore. It flips over too often.
I don't know.
Right? Like, I mean, remember how dire San Francisco and Seattle were 2 years ago?
It was just 2 years ago.
And all of a sudden, they're basically Super Bowl favorites.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it turns over so quickly that, teams are very, very impressive for 2 and 3 year stretches, and then that sort of goes away. With the exception of, sort of rock solidly built teams like the Patriots and Steelers.
Green Bay.
And Green Bay. That's really sort of it. And then other teams sort of pop up, they bobble up for a little bit, and then they come on down.
You know who I could see making a turnaround this year is the Chiefs. And I know that sounds preposterous.
Yeah, they'll go 10-6 or 9-7.
But I mean, that's kind of a weak division. Save the Broncos.
Yeah,
and they'll have an easy schedule because they finished dead last.
Yeah, and then they'll have a terrible playoff game, and that'll be their existence for the next 10 years until Andy's fired again. Right? That's your curse with Andy Reid. You're just good enough to lose a playoff game every freaking year.
Not true. Sometimes they're good enough to lose the championship game.
That's
the
right.
conference championship game.
Maybe the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins will improve markedly as they go.
I was down on Ryan Tannehill for a big. He was better than I expected to be. He was not great, but he was better than I expected him to be.
A lot of those cheap young QBs, man. You can build a nice roster with a cheap young QB.
Man, how do they do it? Other question. Here we go. James Roscoe says, "If you could be one NFL player for a day, who would it be?"
So is this on a game day though, or is this like I get to have sex with all the people this guy is?
I'm going to say this is an off day during the season. So it's a Tuesday during the season.
Oh, so you're not playing.
No, you're not playing.
So it's Tom Brady,
Probably.
right? You hang around a private jet, you bang Giselle, you say hi to your kids, you get you wear your UGG boots and pet a goat and stuff like that.
Sounds pretty good.
It seems all right. I would go with him. If it was for a game, you got to pick a quarterback or you got to pick like a great running back like Peterson or somebody like that.
Yeah, just so you could experience what it's like to be an athletic genius.
I want the ball.
Yeah.
Right? Don't you want the ball?
Yeah, even like a wide receiver, I think it would be a frustrating
You
job.
don't get the ball
Just
enough.
running routes and so you hope to get 5 catches a game.
And the defenders are always like, I love to play defense because I love hurting people and hitting people. Secretly, they want the ball. Everyone wants the ball. I want the ball. I would want to be a running back or I would definitely want to be a quarterback.
Fair enough.
I mean, honestly, any quarterback is fine. Any quarterback for a day is fun.
Is Tom Brady really as good as it gets, though? I mean, doesn't someone... what about
someone who's single?
What about Christian Ponder or someone who's single?
Yeah, well, Ponder, yeah. You have an attractive mate to enjoy and frolic with. I mean, Sanchez has probably a nice Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
He's a terrible quarterback, but he has nice days.
Just lays around his bedroom. Are you my 12 o'clock?
Lays around in some awesome
Silk robe,
some swank ass apartment in the Trump Tower. Calls up any woman he wants. Orders a nice plate of sushi, something like that. Eats the sushi off the naked girl. I mean, he has a good life. I'd pick Sanchez. Why not?
Yeah. Also, staying indoors keeps him from being ridiculed by Jets fans.
That's right.
And Giants fans. And really any fans.
Yeah, he's in one of those towers that doesn't have the windows that open, because it's like in the 99th
Smoky
floor.
glass.
Yeah.
All right, our final segment is called Fumbler. This is our strong internet takes.
Ooh.
Yeah. The other day, yesterday, it was actually not so long ago. Tim Burke of Deadspin does this thing where he gives anyone who's on TV gets the derp face.
Oh, it's my derp face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've actually got it. If we can go, you were on Fox News.
So can I approximate it?
Yeah. That's good.
So
also, please note that there's someone could get hurt. They've got the signage
there we go.
correctly.
There we go. All right, so can I replicate it?
Yeah.
Try and replicate it.
Not bad. So I went into Photoshop, started playing around, and I recognized that it was reminiscent of a Nicolas Cage Photoshop that I'd seen before. And so I kind of moved some hands around and we got this one.
Let's see. That's great.
And I could have like done something.
The head hands are very disturbing.
I could have made you look good because like the grasping at the shirt, I could have given you like a Superman shirt and given you glasses.
You could give me like chest hair. And
I could have made you look handsome. I didn't do that. No.
I like that derp face. Usually the derp face is the eyes closed and like
mid-word.
Yeah, mid-word. The Goodell or the Easterbrook derp face. So I like my derp face. I'm happy.
I got derp face the other week. It
yeah,
felt good.
Everybody gets it.
I like it.
You got it.
I'm proud to join the derp face club.
Yeah, you got it. You got to derp it up. It's all
right. And then the last thing we've got is Chris Berman at the Boston Strong concert.
No way.
Yeah, this is courtesy of Kissing Susie Colbert and an Instagram user. Do you see how soaked in sweat he is?
He looks dead.
When you're a heavyset man,
you know that solo. Ha 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 ha. What a Jedi mind trick.
When you're a large, sweaty man, when you know your propensity for your own sweating, don't you take precautions? Like, say, wearing shirts that aren't like linen and bound to like sweat through.
No, he didn't care. He's Chris Berman. He knows what he wants.
Man, I would at least
He's the #1 star.
I'd wear like a black shirt. Doesn't show the sweat as much.
Dave Damashek had a great impression of him.
Really?
He's like, but the Indianapolis Colts are playing some pretty good football right now. That was great.
That is scary.
He's just a sweaty, disgusting.
He is.
He's a pig. He's a rat pig.
Who's more annoying to you on NFL shows? Is there anyone worse than Berman?
Well, he's so present. You know what I mean? Like, he just dominates the broadcast. I hate Stuart Scott. I think Stuart Scott is actually worse.
Really?
Yeah, I can't stand Stuart Scott anymore.
Really? Why is that? What makes him stand out?
He's Stuart Scott. I mean, you know that.
Yeah.
Like, he's just awful.
The bro dog.
He's just, he's there because he wants to be everybody's best friend. He's like a little puppy. He's just awful. And I hate Schlereth, too. I can't stand Schlereth.
Schlereth is just, look at me, I'm a meathead.
Yeah, and Herm Edwards is getting up there, too.
Herm Edwards.
Because, they ask him about, like, basketball.
What does he have to say about basketball?
I don't know. Nothing.
Why are they
He's
even
Herm
inviting
Edwards.
him?
He sucks. He goes with the female anchor, and he's like, like they're going to tell you that, and just starts winding up to talk about, I don't know, the Temple Owls. I don't get it.
I grew up actually liking Chris Berman.
Oh, yeah, everybody did.
I was like, nicknames, they're clever. These things are new to me.
Yeah, he had like a nickname show.
Yeah.
Remember?
No.
He had a half-hour compendium of all his nicknames.
Really? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I think I do
Around
recall
like
this
midnight
now.
in like 1991 or something.
And it was like before like lists were a big thing that
Yeah.
people, and it's like top 30 Chris Berman nicknames. Yeah, I do recall that.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now
Now he
and like,
sucks.
when I was, but the thing is like, again, like you have to do something different over the course of 25 years.
Yeah. I mean, 30 years from now, people will make fun of us. Be like, Rex Bryan jokes.
But I feel like you've done a pretty good job of like, if you've done something, you're like, hey, you know what? Like I've done this, and I'm going to close it down now.
Yeah, I try. I don't always succeed. I mean, I still bring up the same stupid jokes and Tommy from Quincy that I've done before. I can't help it. So some people want old jokes and some people don't want old jokes, and you have to find the balance between the two.
There's always someone on the leading edge who's like tired of it.
Oh yeah. His shtick's gotten a little old.
You've done this once before. I laughed the first time, but now that I'm seeing it for just the beginning of a second time, it's completely old and overdone.
Now that I've seen it, he's really gotten insufferable.
I feel like insufferable is a word that's used too much.
Oh yeah.
I feel like most things actually are pretty sufferable.
Yeah, like war is insufferable, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like a bad episode of Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Yeah. Like something. Oh, this is mildly annoying. It's insufferable.
I cannot exist as a person and tolerate this.
It's just like it's so much cooler and easier to dismiss things. And I know that like we're like the internet critics, like this is our whole thing.
Right.
Like I'm sure that like mainstream media looks down on precisely what we're doing right now and be like, they're so dismissive of everything. And then we're like, hey guys, come on down a lower tier and check out internet commenters.
Yeah, well, there was someone who also said one of the other ones was obsessed. Like someone said that word was being used too much. Like when people were like, I'm obsessed with Mad Men. And it's like, no, you just watch it every week.
Just watch it every week.
Yeah, you're not really obsessed.
And then like I go to work the next day and be like, hey, did you see Mad Men? Whoa, dialed down the obsession guy. Trying to talk about TV you saw last night?
Yeah.
You must be a huge nerd.
Yeah, nerd.
Nerd, that's another one where that has been completely...
Yes, nerd's been ruined. I was such a nerd in high school. Kate Upton.
Nobody's liked me.
Yeah,
Because you were going out with a guy in college.
Or like, I'm such a nerd. I love the Avengers. Like, hey, congratulations. Like,
Yeah.
like 1 billion people saw that movie. Wow, what a cult figure you are.
Yeah, I'm sure you grew up reading every comic. Guess what?
We're done.
Pretty much, yeah. This is half an hour.
Time for food.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was a radio voice. Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This has been Drew Magary on Uffsides. He's on Twitter, at Drew Magary, Magary. You already know that. You already follow him on Twitter. The
Yeah.
book is Someone Could Get Hurt, a memoir of fatherhood.
21st century parenthood.
21st century parenthood. Because moms, you should buy it too.
Yeah, that was all. And we had all modern and stuff.
Oh, nicely done. The book is excellent. I suggest you buy it. Buy it twice. Read it 6 times. Give it to friends. Make them pay for it a second time.
By the audio version,
Buy the audio version, which you read.
which I read. Don't ever read a book out loud. It sucks.
But yeah, that's it for Uffsides this week. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us, Drew.